It's Tiny Bridge Malone back with another YouTube video. So, I know I've yet to call Sweetwater to figure out this audio I/O. I keep procrastinating. That's one thing I'm bad about is I procrastinate a lot when it comes to doing stuff. I've been sitting here all day. I could have done it and I ain't done it yet. And I don't know. It's just trying to figure out technical stuff when it comes to computers. But I hope y'all having a blessed day. I know I haven't brought y'all any freestyles in a few days, but hey, I wrote some poetry. Uh, you know, I figure y'all probably think, man, she ain't got no money, and I ain't got no money, and that's what's on my mind, and it's really weighing on my mind, but I'm trying not to let it stress me out. I do have an interview. I went out today because my dad wanted me to. He gave me his card to go get him and my brother something to eat and offered to get me something to eat. But as y'all well know, I have celiac disease, so there's a lot of places I can't eat out when it comes to bread and all that. So I didn't get anything to eat. I just got me some cigarettes. I figured it was going to cost me $10.07 to get a sandwich, so I might as well just get me some cigarettes. And I came home and fixed me some. I fixed me 4 pieces of bacon, I fixed me a pancake, and I fixed me a boiled egg. And then for supper, I fixed me 2 jalapeno brats, and I fixed me, and I just put some cottage cheese with it. That's all I ate. I'm snacking on a banana. I like to eat healthy. I really don't like eating a bunch of junk. I've cut out caffeine yet again. Because the other day, I don't know what was happening to me, but my fingertips were, I don't know if it was the blood flow or what it was, but it went away. I prayed in the spirit, got my mind off of it. It took me 2 or 3 hours, and that kind of put a little bit of, so I had to just start praying in the spirit, and I've been doing good the last 2 days. I thought, well, because I woke up that morning at I don't remember what time it was, but I drank a cup of coffee and, made me a cup of coffee here, iced coffee, and, and I thought to myself, well, I'm going to have to cut out caffeine for a little bit, because, y'all do know I take medicine for my bipolar. I don't have any insurance right now, and I got a doctor's appointment on 28th, 29th, but I should have applied for a medical card, and I haven't done it. I got a few things that I need to do while I'm not working, but I do have an interview at Murphy's gas station, because when I stopped there to get gas, I got to talk to the manager, so they're going to do an interview with me at 11 o'clock Saturday, so pray I get that job. Yeah, for real, because I really need some money coming in. I figure it's probably just a part-time position, but hopefully I can get at least 20 hours a week. Even if I make $150 a week or $100 a week, anything beats nothing. I can still get a medical card not working that many hours, because that place only pays like $10.50 or $11 an hour. So I need to get on with signing up for a medical card. My mom and dad's going to the racetrack tomorrow, and I'm probably going to go with them so I can get out of this house, because I'm tired of sitting around here. I ain't been out of Maysville in freaking forever, man. And I need to get out of this town and go do something. They're going to go to the racetrack drag strip. I may record some of it on my phone. And may post that up for y'all for some videos for tomorrow. So, it's raining today off and on, so it's kind of chilly. I mean, I'm having to wear a sweatshirt and pants, and it's springtime. And this is almost June, so this weather's crazy. Of course, spring, there's always a lot of rain. I got all my stuff hooked up, but like I said, I still got to call Sweetwater. I keep procrastinating about it. I need to do it, but, yeah. Y'all just keep me in your prayers. I'll keep you in my prayers. If there's anybody out there that's not accepted Christ into their heart, I want to take this time to ask if you would ask Christ into your heart if you believe he died on the cross and arose from the dead 3 days later, then you're saved. And don't forget to find a non-religion church who speaks of the spiritual gifts, dreaming of dreams, seeing visions, interpretations, and speaking in God's tongue language. And many things shall come to pass, and I got to keep a positive attitude. And sometimes it's hard to do. Sometimes we live in a fleshly body, and sometimes it's hard for me to do, especially right now when I have no money coming in. I'm used to going up and down the road. If I want to buy myself something, I can. And right now, I don't even have money for cigarettes. I have to depend on my parents to give me money for cigarettes. So it's just, I really don't like having to depend on somebody for stuff. I like being able to make my own money, and so it is what it is. At the end of the day, that's all we can do. And just pray and keep moving it forward, move the needle forward. Move the needle forward, we gotta stay onward, Sometimes it's hard to do. Some people don't want to talk about the things they battle with, but you know, it is what it is, and sometimes I just have to take a day for myself if I haven't shot a video. But even on the day when I took a day for myself, I still posted 1 or 2 videos, so it wasn't like I was totally absent. It's just a little bit of things that I'm going through. I let y'all know I'm transparent. You know, it is what it is, and I hope that you all see brighter days ahead. Brighter days ahead, God says. Brighter days ahead. God loves us all, and He's going to help us. You know what I mean? And I got to keep positive mind, positive vibes. I got to keep that in my mind. And sometimes it's hard to do, you know. It is. I ain't going to lie. I ain't going to get on here and lie about what I battle, what I deal with. You know. Sitting in a confined room with 4 walls gets old when you don't have money to go down the road. And really, I don't do a whole lot anyway. I would go shopping, or I would go, you know, get me a coffee, but I can't even drink a coffee now, so it's just like, I don't know, it seems like I have to quit doing so many things, you know. I don't know, I mean, it is what it is, so I pretty much just drinking water and milk, and that's pretty much all I'm drinking. Ain't no juice in the house, so. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just a little bit what I'm going through. I hope y'all having a blessed day. And if you're noticing what brand my sweatshirt is, it's called Black Paris. I bought this way, way back when I lived in my trailer before I filed bankruptcy. I gave $100 and some for this sweatshirt. And it was to help the black community. Black Paris. I'm not racist. Never was I ever racist. I love all God's people. And I have more in common with black people than I do my people. I would say that I just really always have, you know, because the way I dress, the way I, you know, people say, you know, a lot of people on here say, well, you got a southern accent. Yeah, I got a southern accent because I'm from the South. I'm from a small town where there's not many people. There's not many jobs here. I mean, it's not a ghost town, but it's pretty close to... I mean, I did write one poetry today. I always wanted to think to myself that drinking coffee actually helped me to write. I don't know why I thought that. But I do sometimes write when I'm not drinking coffee. But for some reason, I don't know why I had that. But God's really the one that guides me to write. But I did write a poem, and I posted the video to share with y'all. I'm just sitting in my room, just bored out of my mind. You know. I mean, I would like to have money to go down the road and go to Ross, but I can't buy shoes and clothes, and I ain't got no money, and I gotta learn to not buy shoes and clothes all the time. And I like shoes and clothes, but, you know, had I not been out here spending on clothes and shoes like I was, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with no money, you know, so I gotta learn that I can't be out buying something every time I get a paycheck, you know what I mean? I gotta put back money for cigarettes and gas, you know. One thing about it, at least I paid my insurance up through January, so at least I don't have to worry about that for a while. So I was smart enough to do that, but, yeah, man, I'm just sitting here looking at my music equipment, and I was outside smoking a cigarette earlier, and I just thought to myself, you know, I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, and, you know, one time and I just share my experiences with y'all, even if they're past things. One thing that I did experience when I was a younger girl, I remember my parents split up. I remember I was only 5 or 6 years old, and I remember my dad holding one hand and my mom holding the other hand, dragging me. You know, I didn't know which way to go. You know, but my parents ended up getting back together, you know, after a week or two, but I'll never forget that. You know what I mean? There's stuff in our past environment, things that we dealt with growing up, and, you know, I have great parents, and something I want to express to y'all about, something I want to tell y'all about, because I bring y'all into my life, you know what I mean? You know, one of my younger years when I dated, you know, in my younger years when I dated, it's something I always remember. You know, there's quite a few people that I dated, and none of them, and people would tell me they loved me when they didn't really love me. And I remember one time, this is why I'm so so want to express to people not to pick toxic relationships, because I remember one time, this is just one of I've picked a lot of toxic relationships, and there was one time I was in my early 20s. I worked at a factory making $7 and something an hour. This was after my first divorce. And there was this guy I used to date online all the time, so I want to talk to y'all a little bit about that. I bring y'all into my past life and my present life. I let you know what I've dealt with, because I don't want to see people make the same mistakes, and so I was dating somebody from offline. I used to date online a lot in my early 20s. And this person was close to Cleveland. It's about 20 miles before you got to Cleveland. It was in a town called Brunswick, Ohio. There was this guy, I can remember his name, but I'm not going to mention his name on my platform. But we didn't date for very long. Like, he would drive down to see me. He lied to me. He told me he wanted me to move with him, move up there with him. We'd only been dating for like 5 or 6 weeks, if that. And I was young at the time. I was only like 24, 25 years old. And I ended up leaving my job. And I had a 2-year-old kid. He was 2 or 2.5 going on 3. He wasn't in school yet. And I left my job and everything and moved 4.5 hours away from my family and everybody I knew. And, I took my son with me. And when I lived in the house, I come to find out when I moved up there, he was 4 or 5 months behind on his house payment. I found out he was way months behind on his house payment. He was behind on his utility bills. He was just paying what he had to pay to keep it on. He bought me a phone. He got me a phone. It was like Sprint, I think, some kind of Sprint. But anyway, I wasn't able to talk to my parents on it because it charged so much money. And then when he got the phone bill, it racked up. I thought I could call my parents and talk to them after 9 o'clock, but I wasn't even able to do that from that phone. I think it was a Nextel phone. I don't know. I can't remember. It was back when you had the flip phones. And I lived up there for 6 to 8 weeks. And I remember I sat in the house because he didn't have a GED or high school diploma. I remember that I needed him to watch my kids so I could go to a job interview. He wouldn't do it. And I was basically sitting in the house where he was gone because he would junk cars and go pick up junk cars and crash them and all that to make money. And I remember, me sitting in that house by myself most days. He wouldn't take me nowhere, and he'd give me some money to buy some groceries, but it wasn't enough to even feed me and my son. I put myself in a bad situation, and why I always chose these people, I don't know why. I would always choose them, thinking that I thought I knew them, and I didn't. And finally, I don't know if it was Thanksgiving time around October or what it was, I ended up coming back home for Thanksgiving or something. He didn't come with me. And I called him and he told me to stay here. So obviously I had to go up there and get my stuff and bring it all back. I packed all my stuff, took it with me. I don't know, he might have told me before I came back home, but I guess I brought all our stuff. But can't remember all that, but it was a relationship and we didn't break up, but he didn't want me living up there. And kind of find out when I went, I would go up there on the weekends. He would wire me cash to pay for my gas to get up there. I'd get up there and I would basically be sitting there by myself, because he was out making money and I had to wait till he come home. And I was basically just being used. Kind of find out when I went up there one time, I found out, because we didn't actually break up, just because I moved back home. And I moved back home, I had no job, really, I up and left everything for 6 or 7 weeks just to find out he lied to me about his bills and everything else. And it was crazy, because when I came back home, my car was still in my dad's name, even though I paid him off for it. And then I got back home and kind of find out the whole time I was up there, he wanted me to get insurance on it, but I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get insurance on it. You know what I mean? And I couldn't get insurance on it because he took a lien out on it. My dad took a lien out on the car, and they had just moved over. They hadn't been living here for very long when I moved back away from Brunswick. I moved back here, and so when I came back, he finally took the lien off of it, and I was able to get insurance on it. But you know, you know, when you got done wrong, you know, and I didn't understand why I couldn't get insurance on it up there. I was trying to, you know, just a lot of things come to pass, a lot of things I was dealing with, and you know, it was kind of sad, really, you know. But then I had to come home and start all over. And I've always had a bad habit of picking toxic people, and I really think, looking back on that person was really toxic. And I went up there one time, and we were still together, even though we wasn't living together. I went back up there to see him, and I found a mail addressed to another female. So he had another woman and a child living with him. At one point, I guess she wasn't living there the time I got up there, but I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, well, dude, you told me to go back home, and you're seeing this other girl, you know. Like, he wasn't who he said he was. He was a big liar. You know, and then this same person, maybe a year or so later, my dad needed a motor for a truck he had, and he had a motor. And he brought it down and gave it to him for free after all that he put me through. He brought it down here. He just charged my dad gas for coming down here. And he got a hotel room. He wanted me to come to the hotel room, and I said, no, I'm not doing that. I said, me and you, we're not together anymore. I said, after the way you done me, I said, I appreciate what you did for my dad. I said, but what you put me through was really crazy. I said, because, you know, you were this far in debt, and you didn't let me know the truth. I said, I didn't find out the truth till I moved in with you, and I gave up a job, moved 4.5 hours away from where everything I know to be with you, and this is a lie you told. You know, you withheld information. I said, I didn't have no money to do nothing. I sat in that house all the time. There was no TV to watch. There was a TV there, but there was no, you know, he had no internet. He didn't have no cable, you know, so what was there for me to do? I mean, it was really, 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 I was smoking cigarette after cigarette because I was just like bored as all get up. I've been through a lot in my life, and that was one relationship that I picked. It was definitely not right. And, you know, many of other people I've picked was never for me. And what I do want to tell you, even though that didn't last very long, don't never go with toxic men or women. You know, because many of people will tell you to do a lot of things. I mean, in every relationship I've ever had, I've put all the energy in, all the stuff in. That's why I don't date online no more. You know, because so many people I met were never who they said they was. You know what I mean? And, you know, long distance relationships most generally never work. And he was a liar, cheating on me. You know, probably cheating on me. Truthfully and honestly, he was probably cheating on me. That's back in my early 20s, you know. And so many other relationships never worked out. Never lay down with just any man. That's what it's taught me over the years. Never lay down with somebody. Because you're not going to keep a man laying down with a man is not going to keep a man. Keeping yourself celibate is what God wants us to do. You know what I mean? And obviously, that's what you need to do. And I know we fight the bodily flesh, but I'm telling you right now, that's the best thing to do. Because a lot of these men out here, they're just looking for what they can get. And I think that man was a liar. You know? And, yeah. But one thing I will say is he did bring that motor down for my dad when he needed a motor. And we still talked every once in a while, but we never was going to get back together. I mean, we live too far away. And, it is what it is, you know what I mean? I've done a lot of stupid stuff in my life that I'm not proud of, but I speak of it so you all know a little bit about me. And that's the reason why I say never pick toxic men and women. I've did it all my life. I'm 42 years old sitting here single. You know what I mean? Been single for the last 2 years. I ain't messing with nobody. You know, and I find it weird when people want to come around and, you know, you think you know who they are, but what they show you is who they are, and sometimes people will lie to you. So take your time if you're dating, get to know somebody before you just jump into leaving. You know what I mean? Like, I really gave up a lot when I moved 4.5 hours away to be with this person, and they wasn't, I mean, I had no family. That was a stupid decision to make. And that's just part of my life, man. That's one thing into my life, and maybe I'll have some more stories to tell. But for now, peace, love. Y'all be blessed, and always make sure you get to know people when you date them. And that's the reason why I'm not looking for anybody right now. I would like to have somebody in my life, but I'm not just gonna, hook up with any man. Because I've been through enough in my life, and I do well to deal with myself sometimes. So peace, love, and y'all be blessed.